Welcome friends. Today we'll talk about Azure Load Balancer. Azure Load Balancer is used as an it can be used as an external load balancer or an internal load balancer for traffic distribution across the virtual machines. For an example, if you have a web server farm and you want to distribute the traffic, you can deploy a public load balancer pointing it to the backend web server farms where the traffic distribution can be handled by your load balancer. Similarly, you can deploy an internal load balancer for the database load balancing as well, as you see in the diagram. Okay, it works on the 5 tuple hash algorithm where it checks for the source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, and the IP port number that has been allowed. For an example, uh, it, if you want to load balance for port 80, port 443, or any other port that you want to load balance it. Okay, the major components for configuring an Azure load balancers are front-end front-end IP configuration, which is also known as the virtual IP address of the load balancer. Okay, and the backend pool. These backend pools are the backend VM IP addresses or the availability set that you want in an availability set where the virtual machines would be running. So ideally, uh, the target VMs or the target service point where the who is going to handle the load distribution. Okay, or the target who are going to serve the end user request. Health probe, with the help of health probe, it keeps it checks the health of the VM instances, and basically if your probe fails, it will not send the traffic to the failed virtual machine. Load balancing rule is a combination of the backend IP addresses and the port uh, and uh, the port number. Okay, with this we'll go ahead and do a demo for configuring and deploying a load balancer in Azure. With this, let's log into the Azure subscription. Okay, for the demo purpose, we require two virtual machines with the IS role installed. Okay, we already have two virtual machines which are running in availability set as a part of the lab. Okay, let's go. I have already allowed port 80, making sure that the IS is working on the individual virtual machine. So if you look at this is the IP address, public IP address. Okay, I have allowed port 80 and 3389. I'll go ahead and browse the website and make sure that we are able to get to the local website. Similarly, check the IP for the second web server. Okay, port 80 is allowed. Okay, so we are able to browse to the local websites individually on the web servers. Okay, now we need to go ahead and provision a load balancer, a public load balancer basically. Okay, click on the load balancers. There's no load balancer provision. We'll go ahead and provision a new. Click on add. I name the load balancer as external LB. Okay, probably we might require an okay. Select the type as public. I have already created a local LB IP as well. I'll use the same one. Okay, select the subscription. We have the resource group, and we are going to deploy in the same region where we have the virtual machines running. Click on create. Our load balancer is provision. Okay, click on the load balancer that you created. As mentioned, we need to Go ahead and configure the front-end front-end IP configuration. Okay. Okay. We have already configured the IP address, the LB IP, so it's been already mapped while we were provisioning. The backend pool, we need to configure the backend pool. Let's add the, I'll define this as web pool associated to. You can associate this with a single virtual machine or a virtual machine scale set or an availability set. Here we have created an availability set. We'll select that. From the drop down, select the availability set, the demo AS1, and we need to specify both the virtual machines here under the target virtual machine. From the drop down list, I select VM1 and the associated IP address for VM1. I will add the VM2 as well and associated IP address for VM2. Okay, all right. So we have our backend pool defined. Okay, backend pool is configured. We'll go ahead and define an health probe. Okay, I name it as LB probe. Okay, TCP port 80, and I click OK. Okay, health probe is created, and the final one, we need to define the load balancing rules. Okay, click add HTTP rule. Select the front-end IP config. This is for port 80, TCP protocol. The backend ports, it will be on port 80 as well. And the backend pool, we have already defined a web pool where we have two virtual machines running in availability set. Okay, this is the LV probe that we define. All set. We click on OK. Okay, so we have our LB deployed and configured. Okay, note the IP address of the load balancer. We'll go and browse the load balancer IP address just to check. The IP address is 40.91.202.187. Open a browser and browse the LB IP address. Okay, this goes and hits the IP address of the. Okay, this goes and hits to the VM1 or the web server 1. Open a new browser and again try to browse the same LB IP address. It's still going to. Okay, let me clear the cache. If you're able to go. Okay, so we are able to do a load balance. If you see, uh, we are hitting the LB front-end IP address. The first request it took to the VM1, and the second request it took us to the VM2. So this way you have configured your Azure load balancer. I hope the demo is helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Take care.